Hi bloomers, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers and patrons. I am so grateful to have you all here with me. Welcome to the gang. It makes me really happy that my own insanity can help you in any way navigating yours. After all, divinity and insanity walk hand in hand, right? But I am truly grateful. None of this would be possible without you. It is humanly impossible to me to reply to all the messages and emails and comments that I receive every day, and I'm really careful about my energy. I try to stay offline as much as possible so I can get the messages as clear as possible. I don't want to have the interference of what is going on in the physical. I really like to sit down in a pure place where I ask the guidance from spirit to help us navigate and to tell us what we need to know now. And so in order to do that, I need to stay away once in a while and recoil into my hermit cave, and in order to just be clear and pure to do it. So I really want to say thanks to all of you, the ones who have supported me, the ones who have reached out to me, and obviously to all the ones who are supporting me on my Patreon page. None of this would be happening without your support. Going forward, I will only be posting my videos on my Patreon page. They will be available to all my patrons. And if you would like to acquire the link to the video, you can have access to it by clicking on the PayPal link that I will leave down below my videos, and you can have access to them individually in case you wouldn't like to join the gang, so to speak. I hope you understand why I'm doing this. The guidance that is coming to me is very specific, and in that sense I don't want it to be lost in translation by other twins who are going through a confusing moment here along their journeys. And so I was guided to do it, and I hope that I can help you all going forward, navigating this new stage of our journeys. So today I wanted to bring a very special message, and I want you to be aware that if any point this triggers something in you, I would advise you to turn it off and take a moment and maybe come back later when you are ready to receive the full message. Along my journey, I have struggled with the messages that my guides give me. I know that I cannot hoard information. I know that it is my mission to share it with all of you. But I thought, how unfair is it that I have to drop some bombs here and there once in a while? It doesn't feel fair. But the agreement I have with my divine team is that I will always bring you what you need to hear, which sometimes is not what you would like to hear or what you would want to hear. So my purpose is soul liberation. It is your own personal freedom. It is to give you a way out of the rat race, the mouse wheel, right? That's my only purpose every day, is not to predict the future, but to activate a whole new perception on the journey, and to give you some insights that will help you release aspects from the past that are blocking you from moving forward. So the topic today is ego endorsement. And this is a delicate subject, because in our minds we are so conditioned to think that unconditional love is always being there for someone, no matter what, unconditionally, right? That's our perception. So we choose to share things online. We choose many ways of supporting our twins along their own journey. And sometimes we find ourselves doing it in a very manipulative way. Sometimes we find ourselves thinking, well, if I post this and he reads it, then maybe it activates something in them. Maybe if I say this, it will trigger something in them. Maybe if I do this, they will miss me. Maybe if I do this, they will be able to finally love me. And I say this with no judgment because I did it myself along my journey. I was the runner, I was a chaser, I was a stalker, I was obsessed. And then I wasn't any of that. I was free. And that's where I want to take you all, to your own personal freedom. So my guides were talking about ego endorsement. What happens many times along this journey is that while you have stepped into a whole new level of unconditional love, your twin is still going on their own ego trip. Maybe they are chasing things that look vain and superficial to you. Maybe chasing a new home, a new job, more money, a relationship with someone that matches their own expectations. But you know that they have nothing to do with their true essence. And while they're on their own ego trip, and we act as a sponsor for their own ego trip, by giving them our unconditional support no matter what, we are endorsing, supporting, and sponsoring their own ego trip. We're not allowing them to explore the sides of themselves that need to be explored. In other words, we almost show them that it is okay to do whatever they want to do because we will be there and forgive them no matter what. When in reality, the removal of your own energy from the connection in places that are not in alignment with your soul would actually benefit them with a lot more awareness. It's almost like, for a very long time you buy products from this skincare brand that you really, really love, and all of a sudden you discover that they practice animal testing, and they use a lot of cruelty in animals, right? You would have the awareness to stop buying them because you don't want to support the cause of that brand. It's a very simple analogy, but it works the same with your twin. So the question here is, what are you supporting? Because it's okay to show them their true essence. That's okay. But it is not okay to endorse their ego trip because that's just going to delay the process of them coming into self-awareness. Now, what happens when we realize this is that we have to go through a moment of experiencing a breakup. And that's why there is so much sadness and confusion and anger around the collective around this stage. Because letting go of your twin and surrendering to what is to become can be compared to a physical breakup with someone that you have been together for a very long time. Now, imagine that you met your twin 2 years ago, and that throughout this time you haven't had any contact with them. You've been in separation, physical separation. But emotionally, you have entertained a platonic relationship with your heart and your body and your soul and your spirit and your mind. You were fully there. You were all in that relationship, even though it was spiritual and platonic. So letting go of them is a painful process that doesn't happen overnight. Is a daily exercise of letting go and surrendering and letting go and surrendering. So in a way, yes, you need to have a soul breaking point. You need to get to a day where you say, I'm done. I've had enough. I want to experience physical love along my journey. I deserve it. I'm ready for it. I'm done with being alone. I'm done with fending for myself. I'm done with having to compromise all the time for something that it's not giving me enough contentment and joy and happiness, because that's what your soul is here to experience. So regardless of this person being your twin or not, your soul happiness and your soul liberation comes first. So we come into the soul breaking point where none of it makes sense anymore and you just want a way out. It's almost like you beg for mercy. You ask for God to remove you from this connection. And that's a soul scream, right? That's your soul screaming to get out of it, to move forward, to do something different, to move away from that pain, to separate the pain from the love so you can move forward in a place of love without the pain, right? So I understand that a lot of you are going through this process now. And I understand that a lot of you have been going through it and are now ready to manifest a divine counterpart in your life because you are so eager to experience the physical love in your life. And I've mentioned this before. Your twin needs to go through the same experiences as you. Now imagine if your twin has been in a relationship with someone and you've been in the waiting room, as I usually call it, waiting for that relationship to come into completion and for them to be free and for them to find themselves again until they find you, then it is natural that your twin also needs to go through the process of having to wait for you while you go through another relationship that is preparing you for union. Does this make sense to you? These divine counterparts that are coming into our lives are preparing us and preparing our essence and our energy for alignment. So be mindful of this. This soul breaking point, this heartbreak, this breakup is going to happen at some point. And when that happens, you're going to have to sit down with your anger, with your sadness, with your pain, with your regret, with your disappointment, with your resentment. You're going to have to sit down with it. You can't run away from it anymore. You can't keep masking it with love and light and soul mission. You can't mask it anymore. It's there. It's growing every day. It's becoming a monster. And sometimes you experience high levels of happiness, and then in the moment where you experience high happiness, you tap into that sadness again, because no happiness is ever good enough for you unless your twin is by your side. So you see, when you reach that point, you find points and aspects of attachment and codependency that you didn't think you had anymore in your daily life. But it's in that high energy of love and happiness, when the sadness comes in and touches you, that you know, I have yet to surrender, I have yet to let go, because this situation does not make my soul happy. I'm not happy in the heart with this. So my true advice is allow yourself to experience that anger if it comes to you. Sit down with the sadness. Sit down with the grief. Sit down with the breakup. Sit down with the heartbreak. Sit down with it. Nurture it. Acknowledge it. Embrace it. and find the courage to let go of those aspects of attachment and codependency. Be brave enough to look at where you are still endorsing their own ego trip, because you're still giving them your unconditional love regardless of their cause. It's almost like saying, oh, well, he's doing a lot of things that I don't agree with, but I know that's not his true essence. But you're still supporting the cause, right? So learn when to remove your energy and support the original intention of the soul and not the fictitious intention of the human mind. And I hope this lands with you and you understand the difference. You can still support your twin in their own authentic purpose of the soul without supporting the purpose of the human mind that is being driven by ego in their own experience. I really hope that this makes sense to you the way I see it, but it's the best way I can explain it, right? It's almost like they have this marathon and they need sponsors to get there. And if they're running and doing a good work, then yeah, by all means, be there. Give them water, give them support, stand there with a poster and help them to get to the finish line. But if you see that they are cheating and tripping others and having an ego marathon, just remove your sponsorship. That is the best way to love them unconditionally and still support the true purpose of their soul ambition. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I want to say that I have a lot of compassion for all of you going through this process. I made it public. I went through it as well. And believe me, the things that I saw, the things that I heard, and the things that I found out were not something that I wanted to sponsor anymore. I was able to forgive him. I was able to give him a lot of love and compassion. I still do every day. I pray for him. But I could no longer be a sponsor of an ego trip. I will always support his soul purpose and his soul mission. But in physicality, I don't want to be sponsoring what is happening. So I really hope that this makes sense to all of you. I hope it didn't trigger anything bad in you other than a realization of aspects of attachment, codependency, ego endorsement that may be happening along your journey, and that this just triggers you into a whole new step along your journey of releasing a lot of yucky stuff from the past so you can just move on and be free and allow them to be free as well. If you love them, set them free. Set them free to live their own journey, to make their own decisions, to make their own choices, and to get to the finish line with their own epiphanies, realizations, and synchronicities. Okay, without forcing, without pressing, without manipulating anything. Because if you're practicing ego endorsement, then there's a side of you that is still staying in ego as well and not allowing that union to happen naturally and organically. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope this lands with some of you, and I hope it helps you to look at your own situation with a lot more clarity, a lot more compassion, a lot more love, a lot more kindness, and a lot more light as well. And I really hope that you find today aspects of your own personal freedom and energy pockets that you have deposited in certain places that you need to retrieve, take back to yourself, and apply it for your highest purpose, for your highest good. Okay? So, as always, I'm wishing you an amazing day. I'm sending you so much love and so many blessings. And I'm really praying that you stay safe and protected within the power of your own heart. Big love to all of you.